Okay, we've got lots to talk about with UFOs today, so get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Yeah, sorry I didn't post a video yesterday. I had to go out of town, and anyway, it is what it is, but I'm back and ready to roll. Here we go. Crop circle ground shots, and this is from the new crop circle from the day of the Lionsgate portal. And I've been really interested in this crop circle to see if this was a genuine crop circle, you know, an anomalous crop circle versus a man-made crop circle. So I'm here looking at these images, trying to see if there's like broken stems and stuff, because that's supposedly one of the signs of a man-made crop circle is these broken stems, whereas the non-broken stems are usually a sign of a true anomalous crop circle. So what do you think? Are these stems broken? I can't quite tell from these pictures. I'm waiting for somebody that is better at analyzing crop circles to chime in on whether this was a truly anomalous crop circle. Meanwhile, in case you missed it, you know, the whole controversy of Eric Davis and Lou Elizondo is still raging, and you know, I've covered this on the live streams over the last few days. But in case you missed the live streams, yeah, there is a controversy, and Eric Davis has been saying some interesting things. One of those things is that Lou apparently had his own ATIP, but has to clarify to me next week what that program was doing and how he came to call it ATIP. Because Eric Davis has said over the last few days that, yeah, Lou didn't work for ATIP or OSAP, even though Eric has said good things about Lou in the past, and said that his boss, Hal Puthoff, was reporting to Lou at the Pentagon. He didn't specifically say reporting to Lou, you know, with ATIP at the Pentagon, but still, so I'm really confused about all this. Hopefully this will be cleared up. Hopefully they'll have their conversation and things will become clarified. But, you know, it's an interesting situation. Another interesting situation is Ross Coulthart seeming to confirm the Lockheed Martin versus JSOC firefight. This is wild. This is wild. Yeah, the people were asking him about this because he's been answering questions on Reddit, and we're going to get to some more of those intriguing responses from Ross on Reddit. But here he is. Is there any merit to the claim that in 2004 there was a blue-on-blue firefight between a JSOC unit and a Lockheed Martin recovery team over UAP craft, resulting in the death of 2 JSOC members? Yes, Ross says. And that's not the only incident. What? There's been multiple firefights between private contractors and the government over UFOs? Were they all Lockheed Martin? Were they all Lockheed Martin versus JSOC? Are there different contractors involved? Are there different government organizations involved? And it's so strange that Lockheed Martin won that firefight. And this has happened multiple times. That's crazy, and it corroborates John Stewart's information. It corroborates Nico's information. It probably corroborates Mike Carrera's information of a similar incident. Just crazy stuff, guys. Crazy stuff. And you know, I don't even know what to think about that. But we do know that Battelle is one of the private contractors that has been long associated with all of this. And from Richard Giltreich, Battelle has been officially involved in studying the UAP situation since at least the late 40s. They were given a contract to study the retrieved metal samples from the Roswell area crashes. The report is now declassified as of 2010. There you go, Battelle Memorial Institute, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Battelle has been in the game since at least Roswell. That's important information, guys. That's important information. Meanwhile, Chris Bledsoe has another UFO video for us. Check out this cool orb, and I'll just let the audio play so we can hear Chris talk about it.
Look, now it's steady.
Walk over there tomorrow and see what's over there.
Now it's gone.
It's gone.
It's trying to do faster, like a butterfly.
It's gone.
Yeah, it's been doing that.
All right, does it come back?
It's off.
If it was something
Now it's gone.
It would would not be flickering while you're standing still.
Why would it be dimming and flicking and blinking?
Walk over there and see tomorrow.
Look, it's back. It's back.
Well, what makes sense is there no power or no...
Look, it's back. Look at it.
Orbs are crazy, guys. What's that orb doing? What's it trying to communicate, if anything? Are they the same types of orbs that appear for John Bell at the channel Real Florida UFO? Are they the same types of orbs, what I call a Category 2 orb, that appeared at Lou Elizondo's house? These beach ball size, see-through kind of orbs, which are distinct from the larger spherical craft that seem to be more nuts and boltsy, that are more like real UFOs that I think of as Category 1 orbs. And then there's the Category 3 orbs that are like the ghost hunting orbs that I saw a lot when I was ghost hunting, and that are, truly anomalous. Really, really, really interesting. But this is funny. This is funny. Somebody wrote to the White House about UFOs, and the response was about NASA. Thank you for writing to me about the wonders of space. Recently, NASA launched the world's newest and most powerful deep space telescope. We will continue to invest in science and technology. NASA will lead a triumphant return to the moon with the Artemis program. Oh, that's hilarious. Signed by Joe Biden. If he had any part of that. But there you go. Writing to the White House about UFOs, and the response is NASA's on it. NASA's on the space thing. But nothing about UFOs. That's just an hilarious non-answer, guys. That's an hilarious non-answer. I love it. I mean, I don't love it, but it is hilarious. Meanwhile, from J. Alberto comes this really intriguing UFO. Is this an orb? I think this is a craft of some sort. It looks more like it has a shape. It's glowing. It has the thing in the middle. I guess that's the hub. Is it spinning? It seems to be spinning. This is a cool sighting. I don't know what this thing is exactly. If you guys have any insight as to what this thing could possibly be, let me know. But I think this is an amazing sighting of some crazy craft. I don't know if this is nuts and bolts craft, or if it's, coming from another dimension, or, what exactly that thing is. But let me know what you think in the comments below here. I'll read the translated post. Remember this super luxury UAP evidence captured with the telescope by Jesus Sanchez, a resident of Tijuana, and analyzed by Arch Jose Hernandez, who gave it as the best non-human UFO evidence. Okay. Well, it was a cool UFO video, no lie. Meanwhile, good news, Jason Stans is staying on Twitter. He had been considering just saying, screw you guys, I'm going home, and leaving Twitter for fairer shores, but he has decided to stay. Okay, everyone, it's Friday, and I've decided to keep my account going, as this is the platform we will need to talk freely. I can't think of a single platform I trust more for freedom of speech. Elon Musk is to be praised for all that X has become. And I'm not going to get into the Elon Musk controversy, but Jason Sands is staying on Twitter. He's not going anywhere. So that's good. I mean, I don't know about Jason Sands' information, but I think he's an authentic person. I don't think he's BSing. So I'm glad that he's staying. Meanwhile, this is really cool. Builders of massive ancient monument understood the science behind their network. Researchers say that 6,000-year-old Iberian Peninsula megalith required sophisticated knowledge of physics, geometry, and geology. Look at that amazing megalithic structure. That is really impressive. In southern Spain stands a giant earth-covered monument upheld by a gargantuan stone blocks and pillars that has withstood 6,000 years of rain, wind, and earthquakes. The Dolmen of Minga has captivated archaeologists' attention since it was first studied in the 1840s. How did pre-literate architects design such a sturdy structure and build it from incredibly heavy materials? I think that It's interesting because, as one person, Alex Torpiano, says, perhaps we miscalculate the amount of intelligence that the Neolithic people had. There are lessons not to think that we are the greatest civilization ever. Now, that is really an intriguing comment. Is he saying that this was made by a greater civilization? We're talking Atlantis here or something like that. That is a really intriguing comment. There are lessons not to think that we are the greatest civilization ever. He's saying, and later on, he says there would be no engineer today, Leonardo San Juan says this. There would be no engineer today that would be able to build this monument with the resources and means available 6,000 years ago. So really an intriguing structure that they don't know how they built this thing. So is this another Atlantean or quasi-Atlantean structure built by ancients that had higher learning? I think maybe. Guys. I love it. Meanwhile, more from Ross.
That UAPs are real, that they display phenomena, characteristics that we can't explain with known human technology. They do things that we just can't do with our science. And they appear to be intelligently controlled. And as Marek said there, a lot of this phenomena is orbs, spherical orbs, sometimes glowing plasma, sometimes metallic. But the disturbing thing is that they're showing themselves over military facilities. And
that's probably one of the Category 1 orbs that I was talking about, the more nuts and boltsy metallic spheres. And sometimes there seems to be a crossover of the different types of spheres. Okay, now this is from Lou. Let's give a listen.
Coming out that instead of getting shot in the arse with a dart gun, that there may have been much more severe injuries or even death involved in this.
Well, the question is, what is it intentional or not? Look, if I go out to any airport right now and I happen to fly out of here and grab a plane, there's no danger, right? But now if I go to that same airplane, I get out of the plane, go on the tarmac and put my head behind the jet engine while it's throttling up. Well, yeah, there's a big danger. I'm going to get sucked into the engine or I'm going to get burned, right? Probably not very good for me physically. So, the question is there an intention, right? People say, well, there's a threat. Well, of course there's a threat, but threat doesn't necessarily mean harmful intent, right?
I thought that was significant that Lou, is clarifying his thoughts on whether it's a threat or not. Because in his book, he hammers this over and over again with this threat thing. But, now he's saying, well, it may not be intentional. So, with that in mind, I ask, is it right to go forward with UFO disclosure, talking repeatedly about the threat posed by UFOs? That's going to put that in people's mind going forward with UFO disclosure, and they're going to associate UFOs with a threat. But here he is saying it may not even be an intentional threat. So I would, love for him to dial back on the whole threat narrative, since he doesn't even know if it is intentional or not. So I put that out there, guys. Put that out there. But we have more intriguing comments from Ross Coulthart on Reddit, and he goes by Brush Pass on Reddit. And here he is talking about consciousness. And I thought this was pretty cool. Your question. Ross says, given your view, Ross's view, that consciousness is the key to understanding UAPs, how might a family with a history of deep involvement in intelligence or covert operations have experienced or been impacted by consciousness-related phenomena, perhaps without even realizing it? Ross says, my answer, this is a very interesting question, and I suspect you are perhaps from such a family. What I can tell you is that many people who have operated in covert roles as spies or soldiers, especially folk who have experienced near-death encounters in combat, appear to have a susceptibility to the phenomenon. I suspect the phenomenon reflects back at us what we show to it, which is exactly what I was saying the other day, right? The phenomenon meets us where we're at. Often, not always. There's elements of the phenomenon that are just doing their own thing and they don't care what we're thinking or doing. But a lot of it is consciousness dependent and relating to us in that way. I have mystical trippy experiences because maybe that's what I resonate with, and that's what I dial into is that part of it. Native Americans may see skinwalkers because that's part of their culture. That's where their consciousness is at. The military sees objects they identify as a threat. Maybe that's because that's what they're attuned to. It meets us where we're at. And I think that's a very important thing to realize going into the phenomenon. And it's why I don't think we should hammer the threat narrative, although we should quietly prepare for elements of the phenomenon that are threatening. But that shouldn't be what we put into people's minds going forward. So Ross says, so many combat veterans perceive the phenomenon as a danger and a threat, and it proceeds to terrify them. Whereas other people who simply accept the phenomenon and embrace its significance have positive experiences. Indeed, that's been my experience. I'm not saying that's true for everybody, but that has been true for me, thankfully. I suggest, Ross says, that family use meditation and relaxation techniques to try to consciously engage with the phenomenon in a non-threatening way. You might find it responds similarly positively. And that's what I tell a lot of people that contact me with their own contact experiences, wondering what it all means. And, I often will ask, well, do you meditate? Have you tried to contact the phenomenon and see what happens and see what the response is and go into it with love and light, because that seems to help. That sounds silly to a lot of people, and I totally get it, but it seems to help. So that's why I recommend it, not because I'm a flower child, but it seems to help. And Ross seems to be operating under some of the same principles. So okay. Next up.
And Lou, I got to say, if I was
Okay, yeah, this was cute. Okay, because a lot of people have asked, well, Lou, you're a remote viewer, so why don't you just remote view the phenomenon? And he gets asked that very question on NBC, which I think is fabulous.
A government-trained spy that had possible psychic abilities and was able to remote view. And I was looking into all this stuff. Like, one of the first things I would probably do, especially even if I left the government, was to sit down, use whatever abilities I had to remote view myself into a UFO. Have you done that?
No, and frankly, I never said I was a good remote viewer. I was taught early on some techniques by one of the top Army's remote viewers. Wonderful gentleman. Very, very gifted. Sadly, I was not that gifted, but it turns out that a lot of people have that capability. And it's really, I think, once you talk to some of the scientists, you realize it's not paranormal like people suggest it is. It's probably just some sort of latent capability that humans have had for a very long time before we really were able to verbalize communication with one.
Yeah, so it totally could be. Now, is it paranormal or not? It's not paranormal. It's consciousness-based stuff. And if consciousness exists outside of the body, if it's non-local consciousness we're talking about, then that by definition is paranormal, and that it doesn't fit within our scientific parameters or, of the science that we understand. So it is in that sense paranormal or spiritual or metaphysical, consciousness-based, whatever you want to call it. There's no mundane way to explain it. With our current understanding of the science. So it is paranormal in that sense. But I love that question here on NBC News asking Lou if he's remote viewed UFOs. And the host asked it with a straight face and with obvious interest in the answer. I just thought that was amazing. That was amazing, guys. Meanwhile, Elon Musk wants to implant millions of people with Neuralink brain chips. Of course he does. Of course he does. The Neuralink executive announced his plans following an update from neurotech startup that revealed new capabilities of its brain-computer interface. According to the firm, the second patient to be fitted with the device was able to use it to play first-person shooter games and design 3D objects. Well, obviously, video games are, what it's all about, right? If all goes well, there will be hundreds of people with Neuralinks within a few years, maybe tens of thousands within 5 years, millions within 10 years. Now, of course, these things are going to help a lot of people, and I totally support that. But millions of people within 10 years, and then tens of millions in the next few years, and you see where it's going. I do worry that we're going to Borg ourselves, and I don't think that's a good thing. So, where does the benefit end and the harm begin? I think that's what we need to ask, and we need to understand that going forward into this brain implant future. But let me know what you think about that and everything else covered today in the comments below. Then if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure appreciate it. Smash the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. Love to see you guys there. If you want to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, consider grabbing a coffee mug or a t-shirt in the merch store below, or by becoming a channel member, because channel members are rock stars, and I really appreciate you guys' support. Thank you so much. Meanwhile, there's plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.